All we want you to do is to come up with a blueprint for a game-changing business that changes the world and changes your life, all in the next 48 hours. The greatest businesses of the 21st century will satisfy a big human need, but will also reverse a major human or planetary problem.
Our project is looking at tags on clothing, and could we find a way to make them more sustainable and reduce waste?
It's about sharing the air conditioners so you can get a better air quality and you can get better service.
We're trying to come up with wet wipes, for adults, which you don't have to shower.
We're trying to see if we can create any sort of revenue based off the fact that like 50% of people waste and throw their food away.
We are looking to create a system of water fountains.
We are working on designing a smart trash can.
Wi-Fi enabled ring that sits inside of water faucets and shower heads.
Tracking the nutrition of what we're eating while also managing our budget.
Over the next 10 years, half of all S&P 500 companies will not be in the S&P anymore. And what this means for you is nothing but opportunity. He says, think like an anthropologist. Be observant like a traveler. Ask questions like a journalist.
We do that by getting out of the building and talking to customers and validating the problem. It's understanding the customer and the depth of the problem that they're facing.
So there's no separation between garbage and food? No. Do you have any other fun trash stories to tell us?
You create MVPs to help you answer questions.
So easy.
And we at Stern recognize that one of the biggest challenges you as full-time students will face is connecting what you learn in the classroom to the real world.
I don't lurk like that. I feel like you gotta open your locker. I'm gonna be like. That was awesome. I did get to, as you saw, sneak into some of the rooms and saw some of the stuff you guys were doing. It's amazing every year. It's absolutely amazing. I really mean that. It's what you guys put together in such a short amount of time is incredible, as you'll see here as well. Before we get started, I just want to give a big thanks to our faculty advisors who are in there and the facilitators who ran this. Could you guys give them a big round of applause? They were hugely helpful. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to get started. First, I'd just like to introduce our judges. First, we've already met clinical professor and entrepreneur Hans Taparia. Big round of applause for Hans. I do not think many of you have met yet my colleague and friend Jamie Tobias. She is the assistant dean at student engagement, in charge of again all these cool programs on engagement and international stuff and everything. She's just the bomb. You'll meet her more. And then Luke, who you already know, Luke, right? You already know Luke. Thank you. The folks, guys, by the way, I will just say this, that I saw you guys getting up and presenting, and it really takes a lot of guts to do that. So just remember that the folks getting up and and sort of explaining their whole project now are getting in front of everybody and doing this. So I know you'll give them a warm welcome. We're going to start with Block 6. Go ahead, Block 6.
All right. What up, Block 6? Where you at? All right. right, we are Farm Table Farm. We're a creative recycling company. And we came up with that idea after noticing quite a problem in the streets when we walked out. Most of us in our group are not from New York City, and we realized there's a lot of trash in New York. So we wanted to figure out a way to, recycle things in a better way. What we noticed is that businesses and restaurants in particular are not good at recycling. And when it comes to separating organic waste, I think only 1 out of the 20 restaurants we went to actually puts an effort to do that. Why, you may ask? There's a real lack of incentive for businesses to do this. There's no bonus, they're not getting any props when they actually separate organic waste. There's also very little awareness that you can actually make a decent amount of money by reselling organic waste to somebody that would actually use it. There's also not much education that shows that, you're doing something good for the planet and you can make money at the same time. So right now, with the trash that gets sent to landfill, we found out actually 40% of all trash is organic waste that could be used for something else. And instead, it's just rotting in a heap and producing methane gas, which, as we know, is one of the main contributors to global warming. And now Elise is going to, first we are going to explain our logo. Wanted to create something simple, and it really kind of shows what our company's about. We start with the farmer in the top left. They would produce food that would then go to a restaurant, then a customer would then throw their trash away, and this is where we come in by changing the cycle. We would recuperate the organic waste and bring it back to a farm that could then use it for compost, fertilizer, or many other uses that we'll get into afterwards. And now Elise will explain some more market stats.
Okay, how many of you actually recycle every single day? Okay. And how many of you separate your organic waste? Exactly. This is an untapped market. Currently, we've estimated this market to be $1.7 billion nationwide. 98% of organic waste goes directly to landfills. Now imagine charging or paying $35 a ton for this. Currently in New York City, this market is worth $35 million. That's a lot of money, and it's money being made on something that we currently just throw away. There are also very few companies that are operating within this industry. That's where we come in. We want to change how restaurant owners approach a very viable product, organic waste. As one of our speakers mentioned, companies that perform better on the ESG scale tend to do better. They make more money. On that note, Sheree will walk us through the business model.
Perfect. So again, we're Farm Table Farm. What we do is we connect restaurants to haulers to farms. We're going to go to the restaurants and say, instead of just throwing everything away, separate it into waste and organic waste and recycling. What's in it for the restaurants? Well, we're going to give them a big sign on their restaurant and say, these guys recycle. These guys are sustainable. So when you and I are walking around, we'll see that and we'll tend to go into that restaurant. We're also going to advertise these restaurants on our website. And we're going to reduce their cost of garbage pickup for the first year. What's in it for the haulers? So we connect the restaurants to the haulers. The haulers get new businesses on board, and they get to pick up this organic waste, which they get paid for, $35 per ton by the organic farms. This right now is being thrown away. $35 is being tossed in the trash. We want to recuperate that $35. So the haulers get extra business. And what's in it for the organic farms? Well, they want to use this product. They want to use it to fertilize their crops. They want to turn it into biofuel. And they want to use this, and they want a constant supply of it. So that's what we're going to do. And how are we going to do it? Well, we have a website. We have a website that connects everyone, connects the restaurants to the haulers, to the consumers, to the farms. You come to our website, you sign up for the service as a restaurant, the hauler connects with you, they go pick up the trash. They then take it to the organic farm that needs this organic waste. And you and I can go on the website to see who's actually a part of this program, who's sustainable. So, are you DTF to FTF? Next up, we have block 5, don't feed the bird.
Hello everyone, we're Tap Map. And there should be a video playing. Have you ever been walking around New York City in the heat and trying to find a drinking fountain? I have, and I could never find one. Excuse me, do you know if there's a water fountain around here? I'm like really thirsty.
No man, I don't think there is any.
Bottled water can cost up to 1,000 times more than tap water. And it creates a lot of waste.
The average American used 167 disposable plastic water bottles in 2015, but they recycled 38 of them. As a nation, we recycle less than 1/3 of our plastic products and leave 38 billion plastic bottles to take up space in landfills. We could strive for 100% recycling rates, or we could ask ourselves, why are we even purchasing so many plastic water bottles in the first place?
Here's a map of all of the free public water fountains in New York City. Please note this dead area, the Manhattan Desert. Furthermore, a lot of those blue dots represent absolutely filthy water fountains that are turned off for half of the year. Our plan is to revolutionize this map. Tap Map is a member service which connects people with clean drinking water in an environmentally conscious manner. We plan to partner with local businesses to place hygienic water dispensers in highly trafficked areas. Members will be able to locate and access these water dispensers using a mobile app, and they will receive a specific Tap Map water bottle. Carrying this water bottle will show that the person is an environmentally conscious citizen.
TapMap members are living in urban areas, they're frequently on the go, and they're very concerned with sustainability. So think your soul cyclists, city bikers, techies, and earthy hippies. TapMap will focus on 3 areas to generate revenue. First, the branded water bottle. Second, in-app advertisements. And finally, the sale of premium water. Key partners for TapMap include local governments concerned with environmental initiatives, as well as local businesses seeking to drive foot traffic.
Consumers are clearly willing to spend a lot of money on drinking water. And we know that based on the size of the global bottled water market. In the US alone, in 2016, sales of bottled water were nearly $16 billion. In New York specifically, Poland Spring Water is the most popular beverage brand, with annual sales of over $500 million. However, consumer trends are looking for alternatives to plastic water bottles. And we can see this, for example, in San Francisco, where they're considering implementing a ban of plastic water bottles below a certain size.
So I have your MVP that we'd like to float to our early adopters. It's actually a bottle with a pen attached to it. And what we're going to do is ask these early adopters to actually write down when and where they feel thirsty as they're going around the city. We ask them to send the photos back to us, which we can then use to test our multiple hypotheses as to whether customers actually feel thirsty on the go and in transit, whether they'd be willing to lug around a water receptacle, and also which specific retail locations to target when we eventually launch our complete product. And we can also use this bottle to actually figure out whether it's the right aesthetic vibe, the size, the weight, the look, and the feel of it all. And that will help us eventually create our Tap Map. We're Tap Map. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Block 4.
Study Group 11 from Block 4, and we're here to present to you. We're here to present to you Sustain-A-Cycle. The problem we identified is globally humans waste energy all the time. While tons of businesses focus on finding more efficient ways to use energy, we've also identified unused sources of energy. One of these sources of energy we found are spin studios that provide consistent, reliable energy sources.
Did you know that one person taking one spin class at Equinox can generate anywhere from 200 to 300 watts of energy? And in a full spin class of roughly 50 people, that's anywhere from 10,000 to 15,000 watts of energy. That's enough energy to power anywhere from 166 to 250 regular light bulbs for an hour. We want to harness that energy by creating a new brand of fitness with an explicit focus on sustainability. We want to create a spin studio that harnesses the energy created by the customer to power the facility and offset the electricity costs of the gym. This works because riders ride on bikes that are directly connected to the electrical grid. We want to recycle the energy from the riders, and riders can benefit from this both financially while they're benefiting society at large. Riders can track their electrical output. They can compete against other riders to see who's generating the most electricity and translate their electrical output into direct savings on the classes they take. We think this is a unique value proposition for our New York City customers and for the world. We ran some numbers and found that for a 5,000 square foot spin studio in New York, the average monthly electrical bill is roughly $700. Whereas the dollar value of electrical output from a full studio or an average studio running for a month is $1,100. It's that value that we're trying to capture and benefit from, and that our consumers can benefit from as well.
So trends in consumer preferences indicate that the time is ripe for a new line of spin studios. The Research Association of Fitness Studios found that indoor cycling studios generate 55% more revenue than other types of fitness studios. And while for regular gyms, membership is up only 1% and revenue is up 2%, for boutique studios like SoulCycle or Bar or Flywheel, membership is up 16% and revenue is up 8.5%. If we look at New York as a possible location for a pilot program, we find that commitment to environmental sustainability is running high. A new report found that 90% of New York voters support the clean energy standard. The average voter wants 70% of New York electricity to come from clean sources, and over 2/3 are willing to take action, even if it means paying more, in order to be part of the solution.
So this is our MVP. It is a Kickstarter program that will allow us to assess the demand for a sustainable cycling studio in the local community. In addition to that, it would provide us with an initial source of funding for us to be able to launch a cycling studio off the ground. So here's our business model. Really consists of two main revenue streams, one being your standard cycling classes, of which we have really a two-tiered pricing model, one of them being standalone $30 classes, pretty consistent with what you see out in the marketplace currently. The second being a monthly subscription model, which is $300 a month. Riders can come unlimited for any given month. And our spin on our pricing model, didn't get a laugh this morning either, I don't know. Our spin on on our business model is providing discounts for our top monthly energy producing riders. So these are your riders who are coming most frequently, and we would provide them with either it's free classes or discounts on the current prices that they're paying. The second portion of our pricing model would be sort of an open gym riding. Riders will be able to come in off-peak hours, pay $15 an hour at any given time in these off-peak hours, and be able to ride on their own free will. And then with regards to our cost structure, really it consists of our initial investment, which includes both the cost of purchasing and installing these energy sustainable bikes, and that with regards to those bikes, the government also would provide a tax credit for energy investments that we would be able to utilize. So this includes both bikes and then also a potential energy storage solution for any excess energy that would be produced from classes. And lastly, our costs would include labor, which would primarily be instructors for classes, and any remaining overhead that would stay with the business. So we are Sustain-A-Cycle, powering gyms from within. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much. We are Block 3, study group number 8. Love your enthusiasm. We're here to introduce Fresh and Fun, a solution for America's food deserts. So I'm going to start off with some numbers. 50 million is not the number of dollars that our startup plans to make. It is the number of Americans currently living in food insecurity right now. Now, when you hear food desert and you hear food insecurity, you might think it's a rural problem. It's not. It's also an urban problem, and it's a social problem. In our very own congressional 12th district, where we are right now, 20% of all residents are non-white. However, 50% of all food stamp recipients are non-white. Most importantly, and most tragically, this is also an issue for children, 1 in 6 of whom in America lives in food insecurity. It's for them that we're here to solve this problem.
So as a company, we want to start by focusing our efforts on low-income customers. So when we started to look at our customer segments, what we found is we compared the non-EBT customers with customers using EBTs, that's food stamps, and the customers who are using EBTs, their shopping carts are severely underpenetrated when it comes to fresh produce. Right now, if an average customer buys $100 worth of groceries, they're spending roughly $16.30 on fresh fruits and vegetables. That number goes down to $11.90 for EBT customers. That's a 40% differential that we're trying to bridge now. Ideally, we'd like to see both of these numbers climb, but initially our focus is going to be to try to get to this $4.50 additional, or 4.45% in additional revenue, which actually represents a $3 billion market opportunity for us.
Okay, so why is this a problem now? Well, based on our market research in local New York City, we have found that produce it's not affordable, it's not accessible, and quite frankly, it's not that appealing. But we do have an opportunity here. Food stamp low-income spending on produce is up 22%, despite the fact that all food stamp spending is down 10%. You can see here, people want to buy produce. They want these products. Authorized farmers markets in the area are up 120% in the last 5 years. This industry, the fruit snacking industry, has experienced 10% annual growth from 2012 to 2016 and has become a $1.1 billion industry. Consumers want choices, they want produce, they want healthy foods.
So what is the future for these food deserts? Fresh and Fun. Fresh and Fun boxes are packaged and prepared snacks full of fresh produce that kids will actually want to eat. Our product is shipped in a refrigerated stackable box to these food deserts. Inside each of these boxes are individual Fresh and Fun meals with awesome packaging. And kids love awesome packaging. But what do kids love even more than awesome packaging? Toys. Each Fresh and Fun meal will come with its own promotional prize. So think, it'll just be like a healthy, happy meal.
All right, so how do we turn Fresh and Fun into a business when we're targeting just a $1 price point? It starts with our suppliers. We're going to work very closely with local farms in order to maximize freshness and control costs, because we both have a vested interest in accessing new markets. Then, when it comes to our processing and operations, we're going to be able to do it more efficiently because of our stackable, recyclable, and modular boxes allow us to streamline and expedite the food processing piece of the business. Then, when it comes to distribution, we want to leverage a perceived weakness and risk when it comes to food deserts, which is specifically that they have roughly 25% fewer grocery stores and 30% more convenience stores. So these convenience stores create dense networks that we can already leverage in order to reach our customers. And we'll be able to serve them by distributing and delivering stacks of boxes directly to corner stores, tracking consumption, and then recovering boxes when they're empty. And once we have the boxes, we'll be able to restock them and distribute them to our stores based on where demand is growing and decreasing. That way, we'll be able to create a sustainable business model that allows to bring our kids from Flamin' Hot Cheetos to Mad Apple Nachos. Thank you.
Live three. 1, 2, live three. Live three.
Do you know how to do this? I think we can all just stand up here. They'll do it. Okay. Or you don't want to use mine?
All right, so as we began to think about this challenge, we thought back to the first day of launch when it was ridiculously hot. And so we started to think about temperature control solutions that could be more sustainable. So we hit the pavement and we talked to people. And one cohort of consumers stuck out. They were typically 35 years and under, renting apartments generally without central air. And they told us that they were going through air conditioners at kind of an astounding rate, like 2 to 3 years, and then they were done with their air conditioning units. They weren't maintaining them, and then they told us they were just dumping them on the sidewalks. They didn't consult the Department of Sanitation. They were like, nope, we're just done with these. And that's kind of a problem because global temperatures are on the rise, and so are greenhouse gas emissions. And as it gets hotter, you're gonna reach for that air conditioning remote. You're gonna turn down that temperature. And consumers are already feeling it in their wallets. In warmer climates, it can comprise up to 60 to 70% of your summer electric bill. And this isn't just a New York City problem. In emerging markets, when you start to get rising disposable incomes, you're gonna have more people looking to stay cool. And that means higher AC usage, even if it's not properly installed, even if it isn't maintained well. So think about that. Lots more people throwing out their air conditioners, perhaps a little recklessly, every 2 to 3 years. And in turn, we're gonna see higher greenhouse gas emissions, and then more temperatures, and more people buying air conditioning units. So here we saw an opportunity to make temperature control at the individual level more sustainable.
In densely populated urban areas, there's a high percentage of renters. In NYC alone, 69% of the residents are renters, and many live in older buildings where window units are ubiquitous. So when you have a window AC unit, it's important that it's sealed and properly installed. But let's be honest, that top photo looks pretty familiar to a lot of us. There's towels, there's duct tape. I think if you look in the top right-hand corner, you're actually gonna see some wadded up tissue paper. So this is not the optimal solution. Furthermore, these ACs, the filters need to be properly cleaned. The bottom 2 photos show what many of your ACs probably look like. When these ACs are not properly cleaned, you have a buildup of mold, bacteria, allergens, which are not ideal for the people with the healthiest immune systems, much less those with respiratory challenges, such as asthma. And finally, when these poorly maintained AC units are no longer working, as Leah mentioned, they're supposed to be recycled. And to be recycled, you're supposed to call the Department of Sanitation. Most people don't do that. They just walk it out to the street and dump it on the sidewalk. None of this is ideal. So in short, young people want better air conditioning solutions, but the time, hassle, and effort needed to change what they currently have often just causes people to stay with the status quo. So our solution is Chill, a subscription-based AC service that covers installation, maintenance, and removal, and also disposal when necessary. When you subscribe to Chill, one of our certified technicians arrives, and he or she installs a unit that meets the highest health and environmental standards while you just sit back and relax. So there's no more towels, no more duct tape, and no more wasted energy.
So not everyone know that the heavy AC industry. Do anyone know heavy AC? I don't before. So it's heating, ventilating, and air conditioning business. It's worth about $65 billion in the US. So it's a big money. In the New York, it's around 1.6 million apartments. But we are only targeting like 500 people at first, 500 enthusiasts according to our guru here. That's only around 0.1% of total young renters population in New York. Although in order to be break even, we only need to around 200 people. So our business is simple. We are offering starting at $25 per month for 5 months of summer to our customers. And our main cost drivers are 4 of them. 1 is investment, 2 is installation costs, 3 is maintenance costs, and 4 is OPEX. We are targeting 34% operating margin.
Okay, so what is Chill? We want to change the way people think about and use air conditioning. So Chill is going to provide a hassle-free customer experience. So as Aria touched on, you just sit back, we take care of everything. And in turn, we're going to decrease emissions and decrease energy bills. And then eliminate the seasonal issue that a lot of people struggle with, where you have one window, you have an AC unit in there, and in the winter you want to take it out. We'll take care of all of that for you. And then as we've touched on, eco-friendly disposals. So you're not going to walk down the street and see these massive, heavy air conditioners just wasting away on the sidewalk. And finally, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, this is a growing global problem. As developing nations have higher and higher rates of adoption of air conditioning, we want to be there with our greener solution with well-maintained, eco-friendly air conditioning units. So we're going to sustainably take the hassle out of air conditioning so everybody can chill. Thank you.
All right, hey, I'm Robert.
I'm Lindsay.
And in our group, we have Mark, Ravi, Josie, and Nisha. Again, block 1, woo! Okay. So, how many of you have had this happen? You are watching Netflix, and you're just gonna like let it go, and you're like going and going, and then eventually, Netflix starts judging you, and it's like, are you still watching this? And you're like, yeah, so stop, and you keep going. And then, at the end of the night, you turn off the laptop or your screen or whatever, and your eyes are kind of like, yeah, have any of you ever had that? Dry eyes or like muscle strain, headaches from looking at your screens? I think it's a pretty common problem because we're using them all the time. Technology is really increasing, and it turns out there are actually long-term effects as well. So studies have shown that by the year 2050, as much as 50% of the population will have some form of nearsightedness, which is incredible. Half of the people will have eye trouble, and largely due to the new screens that we're looking at all of the time. So stop and think about that. Now, how many of you had these screens when you were 5 years old in kindergarten? No one, right? It didn't exist. But today, kids are using screens just as much as adults, and it turns out it actually affects them more because their eyes are still growing and developing, you know, from the years 5 to 13 or so, and it actually has a much higher risk of causing nearsightedness. The American Academy of Ophthalmologists actually says that the more time you spend reading these up-close screens, especially as a kid, the more likely you are to become nearsighted. So, with all of this changing, so we have more than 3 times as many mobile devices in classrooms now. The industry for kids' apps and games and educational devices is a multi-billion-dollar industry. But what are we really doing to prevent some of the adverse effects of these new technologies? Not very much.
So there are a few solutions out there that help to improve our, or rather reduce the negative impact of technology on our vision. There are some apps that focus on taking 20-second breaks. There is a Chrome plugin called Eye Care, which if anyone has used, I would love to talk to you because I didn't know it existed. And there's also something called Screen Time, which is not playing into vision at all, but it is playing into parents' interest in protecting what their kids see online and on screens generally. Nothing really is bridging the gap, though. So we are concerned with what our kids see, but we're not really concerned with their vision itself. That's why we created Spy. Spy is an app that runs in the background on phones, tablets, computers, and enforces 20-20-20 breaks for kids. So maybe I am in kindergarten and I'm playing my highly engaging Moose Math app. It's really good for making you feel pretty cross-eyed pretty quickly. And I've been playing for a little while. My teacher is off working one-on-one with another student. Well, there's supposed to be sound there. That was an excellent rendition. Very adorable. So for 20 seconds, children have to stop. Their game or video will stop working for those 20 seconds, and they're encouraged to look around and find something. So for 20 seconds, I'm gonna find something blue 20 feet away to stare at. That's the recommended break time that ophthalmologists and optometrists are providing now, and really we should all be paying attention to that. Perfect. We see a few different areas where this product will be really well used and also really impactful. So the first is schools. We think that we can partner with things like Amazon for Education and the Apple Store for Education to be part of turnkey solutions that are shipping out to schools by the truckload, frankly. So sometimes classrooms or full districts even purchase the same device with the same set of apps installed for teachers to use in their classrooms. We would only charge between 50 cents and $5, depending on the economy of scale, for use in a school for a one-year license. And it's a subscription service, so this is something that can continue to grow. Another option is at home. So for kids who are spending more and more time with their screens, busy families, mom and dad are taking care of a sibling or cooking or at work, and I'm here with my device, I can still be encouraged to, one, have some social interaction. Maybe Dora is playing with me and telling me to take a break and look around, and also have a break visually. And the last is that this is something that can be used for all ages. So we want to start with schools because we know there's such an enormous market there, but it plays into the home, and it also is something that we should all be doing in our daily lives. So we want to gamify this, not just for kids, but for everyone. And that's something that we've seen work with anything from something like Candy Crush that is just based off of games that kids play, maybe Game Boy style, and is now available for everyone. So we here at Spy spy a better future for our vision and technology, and we hope you all do too.
Thank you, guys. I think the judges are going to go deliberate for a few minutes. By the way, I happen to be in Block 1's room when Spy was happening, and I can attest to the fact that not only did that monkey sound worked, somebody had it cranked up to like 1 million, and it scared the hell out of everybody in the room. So right now, Rourke and Ben are going to come up and talk to you about Follies for a little bit. Thanks, Rourke.
Y'all probably thought you were going to get a bathroom break or something.
Not so fast. Steal those bladders a little longer.
So how's launch going for everybody?
All right, not bad, right? It's pretty good. It's a pretty young program, actually. It's, going for 7 years?
You probably feel like you've been here for 7 years. But no, actually though, you all, first of all, your presentations were great. I really enjoyed those, as I'm sure the judges did. But also, you've had some incredible speakers, some incredible entertainers, like 9x9, for instance. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, especially when you consider last year we just got 81 by 1. It was like an hour and a half of an old dude playing Fura Jaka on kazoo.
In terms of business education, it was not illuminating.
It didn't seem necessary.
But now the kazoo joke's out of the way. So, Ben, what are we doing here?
We're killing time while they deliberate.
Yeah, we got the anything is better than dead air spot. So,
all right, well, while we have you, and while you are not allowed to leave the auditorium without getting in trouble with the dean, let's talk about Follies.
Follies it is. Ben, do you want to describe Follies?
I do. Let us. Actually, I kind of want to try something else.
What?
Yeah, bear with me for a second, and I actually need all of you guys to do this as well. I need everybody to close your eyes.
Are we going off script here?
A little bit, a little bit. Everyone, this is you guys too. Everyone close your eyes. And I want you to picture your favorite meal. Big bowl of pasta, a really fresh salad. I want you to really get there. I want you to smell it. Okay, you there?
Ben, this seems categorically irrelevant.
It actually is entirely irrelevant. I'm just really hungry. Misery loves company. Wanted you all to join. Thank you for doing
actually didn't have enough food for the launch captain. So, getting back on track, what is Follies actually? Follies is a multimedia comedy jubilee.
Jubilee is a fun word.
Jubilee, yeah, it kind of is. Takes place at the end of the year and consists of 2 major parts. The first, which we'll show you in a second, is a series of SNL digital short-like videos that are submitted by the student body at large. And those are interspersed between the acts of a live performance, which is written, produced, and performed by the members of the Follies Club.
Yeah, so last year, for example, we did a parody of The Wizard of Oz and used some of the characters and the archetypes in that to mock our favorite parts of the MBA recruiting experience.
So you can actually check it out online on the Stern Follies YouTube channel or on the website, sternfollies.com.
Still in progress.
Yeah, it's still being worked on. I would suggest you check it out if you really think you want to spend a good little while not laughing at jokes you won't understand for a couple months.
or another perspective, it's especially grainy video. So if you're like into lunar landing era video, it's worth your
Ben's a silver lining guy. So we're gonna show you a video that is much better quality that Ben and I wrote and filmed ourselves as one of the video submissions. We decided on this one in large part because it's one thing that you can actually probably relate to, having just gone through it.
And in equally large part because we're unabashed narcissists.
So, yeah, before it gets realer, can we cue the video, please?
Please exercise caution when standing or moving around the decks, should there be any unexpected vessel movement. First stop for us, if you'd like to go ashore, please step downstairs.
So during the actual event, everybody's drunk, and it's way funnier. But this is kind of like typical of the videos that are submitted. They're often really goofy, a little self-deprecating. They poke fun at something Stern-related or business school-related. But they're a ton of fun to film. This one, for instance, you may be wondering, like, how did you convince yourself to go out in public, like, disheveled mess, scraggly beard and stuff? And to answer that question, I would direct you to Connor Grennan.
It is all in good fun. The administration does get involved. We've had Dean Henry was in one last year. We make fun of some of our professors, so Scott Galloway, Glenn Oken, whom you will learn to love and also learn to make fun of yourselves very soon.
Yeah, so on a more serious note, so over the past few days, and this is actually a more serious note, over the past few days, the administration has asked you to go out and kind of observe the world around you, think about your environment, and then reflect on some of these observations and come up with poignant insights. So Ben and I are actually going to give you a similar charge, which is to think critically about your business school experience, which can admittedly at times be stressful, some disappointment, some banality, but try to take a step back, look at the experience through the lens of humor, is what we would suggest.
Yeah, and we want everyone to get involved as well. So whether that's acting, operations, performance filming, whatever it is, please join us. If you're funny, that's great. If you're not, you should probably be at Columbia. That's the last Columbia joke we make, by the way. There's a strict no CBS joke.
It's not even a joke. They're just not funny. But it is a great, so another thing that you've heard a lot about this week has been community, and that's one thing that's extremely important here at Stern, and one thing you'll hear about for the rest of your career here. And Follies is just kind of the culmination of everybody coming together as a community, exploring this shared experience we've had together at Stern, and that has been touched on before. That's faculty, administration, the Langone students, all of us. We get there and kind of celebrate this experience we've had together in a night of comedy.
Yeah, I can actually honestly say it's probably one of the most rewarding things I did last year.
Did that play well in interviews?
It's fair. In retrospect, I probably should have come up with like at least one more thing.
It's like the only thing we did. So you've all been waiting quite a while at this point, very patiently. And so I have here the winner of this year's 2017 Block Challenge.
Thank you. This is just a picture of me posted on Jon Snow's head, I think. And it said, "Hey, winter's coming. Capiche?" We don't have the answer.
No, so... I was hoping they'd drag you off the stage with one of those hooks or something.
You can dream.
Anyway, thank you all. Ben and I are going to be tabling at the Club Expo on Monday afternoon. Please swing by, talk to us about Follies. There's dozens of different ways for everybody to get involved, and we'd love to see you there. So without further ado, pass it back to a very good sport and my personal favorite Mumford son, Connor Grennan.
God, I hate that kid. Thanks, Rourke. Thanks, Ben. In all seriousness, Follies is a lot of work. It really is one of the great nights of the year. It's an awesome, awesome night. Thank you, guys. Without further ado, Hans, you want to jump up here?
Okay, so I think we do have a winner. We won't fake it this time. But before we announce that, I first want to give everybody a big round of applause. This was really, really... Was it intense enough? Yes, okay. But really, what amazing problem definition. You all thought big, clearly, great prototyping for this short period of time. And I hope it just gives you an insight into what the possibilities really are in a very short period of time. And one of the things that I'd really like you to just consider, this next 2 years is going to go by really fast. Slow it down. Take a moment. Observe the world. Watch people around you. Whether it's looking up at air conditioners in the sky or at trash cans, the way we saw, just take that moment to observe, because you're going to get ideas from that. Don't get trapped in a rat race. Try and follow your passion, follow your loves. Okay, now on that note, the winner. And now the winner is going to be taken. The winning group is going to be taken. It's going to be taken to a Michelin star restaurant in New York City. We're in New York City. Now, it might be a lower Michelin star, but it'll be a Michelin star for sure. And since we're talking to a millennial group, right? Do the others get something too, right? Everybody gets to win something. The others get some sort of gift. Oh no! We're trying to teach failure. Yes, we're trying to teach failure. Gotta learn to fail too. Okay, no. The winner is Tap Map. All right. That's a pretty big deal. We're talking about out of 100-odd teams here, or something of that nature, a very, very large number of teams. That's all I have for you. Thank you for participating in Launch Challenge. I'm going to now introduce or reintroduce Luke Williams, who somehow I always admire Luke for how hip he always looks. It's really incredible. So without further ado, Luke's going to entertain you for the next few minutes. Thank you.
I'm live. Oh my God, another embarrassing introduction. Great ideas, guys. You guys are fantastic. And the way you just confidently get up and like speak in front of everyone is just like truly extraordinary. Actually, I had a laugh when the Chill team was talking about air conditioners. When I first came to New York, I was staying with a friend. He lived down in Chinatown. And he was traveling, I was there, and I got back from work. I was staying in while I looked for apartments, and I got back and it was stinking hot and it was in summer. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't even, not the air conditioner at the moment, I just need to open a window. And I went into the bedroom, there was 2 windows there. One of them had the air conditioner. I opened the first one, I went to the second one, above the air conditioner, and of course everybody knows that air conditioners are bolted down, right? Straight up with the window, bang, air conditioner went out the window. He lived like 3 stories up. Now, imagine he lived above a graveyard. So this air conditioner has hit the graveyard and smashed into like 100 pieces. I had to fly out at like 5 a.m. the next morning or whatever the first flight was, and I was freaking out. I had to go and try and get over into the graveyard, over a fence. People were wondering what on earth I was doing, wheel it out. Anyway, thought I'd share that with you. Now, you've all done so well. Now, what is the value of an idea? Basically, what I've got here, a few years ago, some guys just like yourselves were mucking around with ideas during their journey here. The idea they came up with was tote. Now, in 2009, this idea was worth nothing, right, as an idea. Now, in early 2011, the idea secured $10 million in Series A financing. In October 2011, the idea was valued at $200 million. In May 2012, the idea was valued at $1.5 billion. In February 2013, $2.5 billion. In October 2013, $3.8 billion. In May 2014, $5 billion. Today, $11 billion. Tote became what? Pinterest. Now we go, you hear a lot as you walk through. Oh, ideas are the easy pass. They're everywhere. It's the execution that matters. I could not disagree more. Finding the original idea, finding the unexpected idea, finding the right idea, and not even an idea, a concept, that's the value. That's the value part. The rest of it, execution, implementation, that's the commodity. Even these business models that we've all been talking about, the challenge isn't finding a new business model. There are a ton of business models out there. There's all sorts of books filled with business models. The business model is just a way of executing on the concept. Now, I've got an impossible job. In the last 10 minutes, I've got to tell you about the Innovation Lab and how you can get involved. Now, the Innovation Lab, I like to think of it as our version of sort of the Google X Labs. The school needed some form of X Labs, encouraging moonshot thinking from the students, but also in terms of the faculty. Now, instead of, X Lab, I prefer to think of it as an innovation kitchen. This is a place where you guys can come to basically experiment with new recipes. And if there's one thing we know about the latest economic research, and this is a quote from Professor Paul Romer, who's the chief economist at the World Bank and a professor at Stern. He wrote an incredibly influential theory of growth, which positions innovation right at the center of that. And he said, what organizations need is not more cooking, they need better recipes. Now, in terms of this, think about something simple. You're all sitting in a chair. You deal with chairs all the time. This chair in particular is my ultimate chair. It's the Eames recliner. I would love this chair. In fact, my wife's pregnant at the moment. We need a nursing chair. I'm trying to convince her we need the Eames nursing chair. This isn't a chair, it's a nursing chair. Now, obviously, somebody had to take all the ingredients that are available at that point in time for making chairs and assemble them into a recipe. Once that recipe was found, meaning the concept, the ideas of the ingredients, the recipe is the concept, Herman Miller has been using that concept again and again. Easy. The cooking part is easy. They just basically press a button and manufacture this recipe over and over and over again, making an absolute fortune. So, think about ideas as the ingredients, concept of the recipe, and then the execution of that concept. That's the cooking. What you really need is to develop new recipes during your educational journey here. Now, the Innovation Lab, we describe ourselves as a creative hub for the design of 21st century businesses and learning environments. Now, what do I mean by 21st century? Hans was saying it before, I saw it in the introduction video. Actually, if we can go to the, if we could go to this 21st century device, please, guys. When you think about 21st century, one of the reasons this term is important, because you might say, what do you mean? We're 17 years into the 21st century. I mean, that's already, we're halfway gone. What we're encountering at the moment is a lot of ideas, a lot of 21st century business ideas that you're exposed to, you're coming up with, companies are using. They've been evaluated by 20th century management processes and models, which are based atop a 19th century education model. That's where we are at the moment. Now, all the organisations out there, you can think of it as a sequence trap. As information comes in and these organisations get set up, some of them with business models 20, 30, 40 years, 100 years old, think about information coming into play. All right, here's my first packet of information. That's fantastic. All right, that's good. Here's the second piece of information. All right, I'll put it together like that. Time goes on. This same thing happens with your experiences as you're building up information, concepts. All right, another piece of information. Oh, I can see how that fits into my existing pattern. This is fantastic. All right. Another piece of information or an ingredient comes available, something that wasn't available before, maybe like a smartphone, for example. Oh, okay, not sure what I'm going to do with that, but I'll put it there at the moment. Seems to continue the pattern. This piece of information comes in. All of a sudden, the pattern doesn't fit anymore. I'm not sure what to do with that. Now, what do I have to do, of course? Change the shape. So I have to go back and I have to restructure the existing pattern, right? Find a new arrangement, basically, for the information, the ingredients that are available, the ideas that are available. Now, this is this could happen with startups. They start out because they don't have complete information. So they're starting to set up the startup. New ingredients become available, added to the existing patterns. This is what's happening to banks at the moment. The whole reason fintech is exploding is they're challenging some of the fundamental concepts underlying the structure behind finance and banks, structures that were set up 50, 20 years ago. Now, I must say, something's come up in the last few days, which I wanted to address because I can't disagree again with this more. The phrase that goes around, if people have got a headache, don't give them a vitamin, give them a headache tablet. That's what they want, that's what they'll pay for. This, to me, is like the root cause of all our 21st century problems. It's this short-term, linear, simple cause and effect thinking. Basically, you know, if anyone gets a headache tablet, you're completely destroying the microbiome, which is keeping your system intact. So the more headache tablets you take, the more you stuff up your gut bacteria. So it wrecks the system. So if we go back to the slides, basically what we're talking about is innovating at a fundamental level. Now, this is what we aim to do. It's up the 4th floor, Tish. Come up and see us. 3 things that we do. Our entrepreneurship encourages high growth companies. So we work with about 1,200 students a year, not just from Stern. We mix you with 16 different schools. Here are all the different activities going on at Stern. I won't go through all of these, but they're in Inspire, so you can get inspired by new ideas like Launch, what we're doing here. Educate, this is how the courses fit in. Connecting with a network, so we've got a mentor network, angel investor network. Connecting with accelerator programs, things like a mobile app contest, the Entrepreneurs Challenge. All these things are designed to give you a practical application of experimenting with the new ideas that you've got. Now, we have about 800 individuals going through in an academic year in the incubator and accelerator programs. We have about 350 teams going through the competitions and contests. We have about 2,000 plus people going through the boot camps and workshops. About 230 hours in coaching and startup mentoring. So if you've got a problem that you want to work on, we can connect you with the right mentor. And innovation training and facilitation, about 11,000 plus contact hours are logged by our network during the academic year. Some of the successes that have come out, this is a company that got sold to Amazon. Course Horse, raised 5.8 million to date. Ephemeral, this is a great concept with a combination from business school students and the Tandon Engineering School. This is for removing tattoos the same way that you actually put them on, so it eliminates the scarring. Keen Home, these guys have basically appeared on Shark Tank. They're in their 2nd round of funding at the moment. Lineo, they've raised 230 million. Madagascar, these guys, this is a social entrepreneurship play. They were named as one of 50 most innovative companies in the world, 2011. And Smart Vision Labs, these guys are actually a combination of business school students and the med school student. And they're working out ways to analyse cognitive health through eyes. Spring, 32 million in funding. And Vengo, you heard about the other day. They got 5 million in funding, and they've also been on Shark Tank. Now, we've got the Entrepreneurs Challenge. This is the largest entrepreneurship initiative on campus. The next round of this is coming up on the 13th of September, 5 till 7:30. There's 3 competitions as part of that: new venture, social venture, and a technology venture competition, and of course 300,000 in money and prizes given away. The second thing we do, we combine innovation with learning science. So we've got a learning science team helping you accelerate your learning and faculty build new learning environments. We've worked with Hans on his course in Ghana. We've worked with faculty members on developing apps, and also if you've got an app idea, we can help connect you with the right people to develop that app. And we're also doing some of the school's online learning programs. So you met Professor Tonsi Whalen the other day, who leads up sustainability. This is an complete online program for sustainability, which is about to launch. The third thing we do is our thought leadership platform. This is called Ideas Never Sleep. This is designed to connect alumni and the general public with some of the amazing ideas that have been generated here at the school and also in other parts of the university in a much broader way than just research journals. We're getting faculty and other practitioners short-term video. They're talking about key insights and ideas, provocative ideas that have come from research in other places. We're partnered with a micro response service called Ponder This to actually put comments in the video. So we're planning to turn this into a learning tool, and it's been mobile from day one. So you can start to check it out at ideas.com. And to give you a sense of what it's about, here's Ideas Never Sleep.
If you're trying to convince people of some sort of new message, a little bit of complexity goes a long way.
And so we need to start from a place of commonality. If we start from a place of commonality, then we can appreciate the difference in a more humane way.
Everybody is engaged in shaping a narrative of persuasion, and the same parameters of storytelling hold sway there.
We're all born with an inherent power to exact change.
Think about what the implications of transferring responsibilities from governments to platforms are.
And then there are industries that don't compete directly, but do compete somewhat for the same customer.
We need to be willing to learn from science and data.
For your own personal development and sustainability, I think it's a pretty hollow experience to not have something that connects you to others.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time. Come and see us at the Innovation Lab. Experiment with your ideas. Thank you, guys.
Excellent. Thank you, Luke. And in all seriousness, Luke really is one of the most sought-after people really on the planet over innovation, and he is flying all around, which is why like when we see him in the building, there's like Luke spottings around, and everybody like texts each other and everything like that. So to have him for a few days here is awesome, and the Berkeley Labs really is turning NYU into one of the great entrepreneurship hubs in the business school community all around America and around the world. So we're so grateful to have Luke here with us. I also just want to say Jamie Tobias, you will see more of next week. Again, she has been responsible for the last few years of really putting together launch and creating it and being like a real thought leader behind all this. And finally, I just want to say this is, I think, the end of, I was about to say the end of Hans, but I don't want to be like, this is the end of Hans's direct engagement, and he has also done a tremendous amount. So if we could give a huge round to our judges there. Thank you. I'm just going to say a few housekeeping things. In seriousness, I don't know if you guys have been following the news. Hurricane Harvey is heading toward Texas, so I'm sure that we have. Do we have any sort of Texans or people with family or any friends or anything like that? Okay, so if there's any way that we can be of service here, do let us know. We're going to be watching that over the weekend for all you guys, and you guys are in our prayers as well. In other areas, let's see, next week we're going to be focused really on career development. We have a phenomenal team that you're going to meet on Monday morning. Did you guys receive an email about these OCD career breakouts? Okay, so I don't remember how many people had filled it out, but it wasn't everybody. Yeah, so we really, I think, are missing sort of a huge amount. This is hugely, hugely important. You guys got to fill those out ASAP. It's really going to kind of define how your next week goes. So that you can secure your breakout session selections. Otherwise, have a great weekend. Breakfast starts at 8 o'clock on Monday. We will see you back here. Have a great weekend, everybody.